we never talk. There was a time when there weren't enough words to say.
And you're with The Schilling Show. Hey, coming up in hour number 2, it's Wayne Allen Root. His new book is The Ultimate Obama Survival Guide. And maybe we need the ultimate Ann Malick and Dennis Rooker and the guy who's in jail survival guide. And maybe we throw Dwayne Snow in with that bunch who voted to raise taxes $600,000 on Albemarle County citizens when we're swimming in cash and throwing away money on edible weeds and so forth. I'm pleased to welcome here to this program somebody who does a lot of service, uncompensated service. Maybe there should be a county position for him. Not that he would accept it. It's Jim Stern, who's chair of the Albemarle Truth and Taxation Alliance. Thanks, Jim, for being with us today.
Glad to be here, Rob.
You know, you're burdened and beleaguered as I am as you dig into all of this in a way that most people just don't have time or inclination to do so. And you see so much. You try to bring it to people's attention. It's the mission of your organization. And yet a lot of times the decision makers see this information and pay absolutely no or maybe very little attention to it.
Yeah, absolutely right. And we've become numb to the numbers. The $2,000 for weeds. If you think about that, my next door neighbor is in her 80s, and her entire annual real estate tax bill is about $2,000. You've just taken all of her money for an entire year, and you've spent it on weeds.
You flushed it down the drain.
Flushed it down the toilet. And then we don't even talk about things like the $200,000 pool cover last year for Crozet. Really, that's 100 homes like that. So you've just used that money for one small purpose, for a pool cover.
You know, it's funny because we have defenders of all of these things. And so Ken the Democrat writes in and says, gosh, you're using this money to teach people how to save money on their groceries. I think it's a great investment.
It's not an investment. You can get Boy Scouts to come and do that for free. They'll do a survival training thing and show you what weeds you can eat. And I'm sure a Boy Scout would love to come into the schools and do that as a project.
You know, this is the folly of what our government is today, because it was never meant to make investments. The government is not an investment vehicle. And just because Ken the Democrat or some of the other people think this is a good investment, that's the problem here. Hey, I think it'd be a great investment to add some sort of a pro-liberty agenda to our government schools. And so we have a whole concept of liberty and understanding property rights and understanding the Bill of Rights. Let's make that a requirement. I think that's a great investment, but yet I would never say I'm going to make investments on your behalf. I mean, that's a ridiculous use of the money.
And my son's about to graduate from Monticello High School and doesn't even have a civics background, doesn't even have how to fill out a check in a checkbook. Learned that through Scouts, not through the school system.
Yeah, this is a tremendous disaster that's unfolding before us. I know you have done some research about the costs of health care and the county employees and so forth that is still rankling you, and I wanted to get to that right off the bat because we want to make sure that we don't miss this.
Yeah, you look at anything in your life. What do you pay the same amount today as you did in 2008? That many years ago, nothing.
I can't really think of anything at all.
And then what do you pay for health care? Well, a county employee this year just got a $3 a month increase on an individual plan for their health care. First increase since 2008.
That's the first time it's gone up in these 5 years now?
And it's now a total of $43 a month.
Wow.
Do you pay $43 a month for health care if you were just on a plan with yourself? Of course not. And a senior pays over $240 for a Medicare plan that's not even covering, there's no obstetrics. There's nobody having children on the Medicare plan. It covers, a lot less.
Yeah, and I look at my own plan, which has a $5,000 deductible. It's an HSA, so I really watch my money very carefully. And I would imagine this plan at Albemarle County is relatively generous as plans go. And yet we're giving people raises, and we're saying that we're not paying them enough. And here we have these platinum benefits that are costing very little. They're not related in any way to the reality of the costs of healthcare. So it encourages overconsumption sometimes, doesn't it?
And they don't understand where their dollars are going. They are not informed. And so you have county employees that use the system incorrectly, and there's no cost. If you're not making copays and you're not looking at that $5,000 deductible. The other thing is, just on raises real quick, how much did Albemarle County employees get last year for a raise?
I'm going to ask you to tell me.
Everybody would say, oh, they didn't get anything. No, they got a 5% increase across the board, and our Board of Supervisors decided, since the state was allowing them to contribute for the first time to their retirement plan.
Their own retirement plans, by the way.
That we would go ahead and give them a 5% raise to cover that cost. So they saw no difference in their check. They don't understand. A lot of them haven't been informed, but they got a 5% raise and just had the government take it back away from them.
This is what's interesting to me, because that money was going to them. If they're forced to contribute to their own retirement account, that's money they will get eventually. So why are we now throwing more money in so they don't feel that? It's just going, instead of their personal account, it's going to their retirement account.
And go to a private company. They may contribute to your 401k, a penny for penny on the first 6 cents, something like that. But they're not going to pay, 100% almost of your retirement. This year, it's 19% of salary. The employers are going to pay 5%. Then we compensate them that 5% in a raise. So they pay nothing again.
Yeah, it's not right. And you're very concerned, and I agree with you, that the Board of Supervisors is failing to meet the responsibility of watching. And I've said, who's minding the store? Who's over there at the Board of Supervisors saying, hey, you can't spend $2,000 on weeds. You can't put $200,000 into a pool cover. You can't have these ridiculous benefits that everybody else is subsidizing. And this can't go on. And yet, is anybody raising the flag?
No, they say, we just listen to what the recommendations of staff are. Oftentimes, the recommendations from staff are actually very truthful, but they just ignore it anyways and vote through. The thing with teachers, we need money for highly qualified teachers. We went through that last year. We had people banging down our doors for jobs, yet we needed more money to attract better people. I think it was 900 applicants that got turned away.
And this is what I've heard about county government as well, is that, we have to pay these people all this money because when times get good, they're going to be hired away by somebody else. And it's like they have this little insulated world of government employees, and people just go to the greener pasture wherever it is. I say offer a reasonable, a market-based salary with market-based benefits, and you will compete well in the market. There's no reason that you have to be at the top end of that. And it kind of brings me to what was on the front page of the daily newspaper today about the University of Virginia and how they were so concerned that they were paying their professors too little. When the average professor was making over $100,000, excluding the medical people, which would boost that way up. And we have to, we want to be in the top 20. Just be competitive. That's all you need to do. And yet we have this battle racing to the top, which is bankrupting everybody.
Study after study shows in the case of schools, paying more money per student does not increase what you're going to get at the final output. You can have great students in trailers with pencils and paper and a good teacher. You don't need all the fancy equipment. You don't need all the money spent. But we always say, we need Head Start. We need all these programs. And there's no cost-benefit analysis that's done by our Board of Supervisors, and there's no oversight. They just hand $155 million over to the schools and say, that's your money, and we'll trust you that you do the right thing. And they don't.
This is the problem, and I want to get into some details here in places maybe the Board of Supervisors, and we know we're monitored by a number of them every single day of this program, would need to get some hints from the Truth in Taxation Alliance kind of behind the scenes through the Schilling Show. So why don't we do that when we return on the other side of this break? Our guest is Jim Stern. He's the chair of the Albemarle Truth in Taxation Alliance. They're online at albemarletruthintaxation.org. I hope you go there and visit them and support this wonderful organization. And also, if you have comments, criticisms, questions, or challenges, they're welcome here. All points of view are welcome on The Schilling Show. And the line is open for you right now at 977-1070. Maybe you have a suggestion. Maybe you've seen some money being wasted that we don't know about. We want to hear from you. You can even use a pseudonym if you wish. The Schilling Show will be back with